सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
अग्रे बह्नि पृष्ठे भानुः रात्रौ चुबुकसमर्पितजानुः करतलभिक्षस्तरुतलवासः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापाशः कुरुते गङ्गासागरगमनं वृथ परिपालनमथवा दानम् ज्ञानविहीनस्तत्त्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः शय्याभूतलमहिनः सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा सङ्गरतो वा सङ्गविहीनः यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चित्तं नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव भगवद्गीता किञ्चिदधीता गङ्गाजललव कणिका पीता सकृदपि येन मुरारिसमच्चा क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा
Clarifications on the topic self-respect. First one, unselfish, meaningful, beneficial actions earn one respect, looking up to. Selfish actions, even if they result in superficial achievements or benefits, will not be recognized or regarded as respectful. Is this understanding correct? Yes, correct. However, I still don't understand the meaning of self-respect. What is the meaning of self and respect in self-respect? Why do you equate self-respect with ego? What is the meaning of the word self-respect? Go from the opposite, you will understand. Opposite of self-respected, what is the opposite of self-respect is? What is opposite of self-respect? Insult. Belittling, isn't it? Insulting, belittling, all this is opposite of self-respect. So what is self-respect means? I do not want to be insulted. I do not want to be belittled. So understand self-respect from this angle. You follow? Nobody likes to be belittled. Nobody likes to be insulted. Nobody will like to be called as a fool. Even you call a child also will not like to hear the word that it is a fool. Therefore, what does self-respect means? Self-respect means not getting insulted, not being belittled, Exaggeration is always looking for praises. Stuti. Stuti means praises. I want to be, I want to be honored. I want to be praised. I want to be honored. I want to be praised. That is exaggeration of self. That is magnified version of self-respect. So, nevertheless, what does self-respect means? Self-respect means avoiding certain factors which is unpleasant. What is unpleasant? Belittling and insulting is unpleasant. You follow? So this is the meaning of self-respect from uh, from the way in which we can reflect on the idea of self-respect. You follow? Self-respect is where you have done something valuable and meaningful. If you have done something valuable and meaningful, there is respect. Are you able to follow? Respect comes when you have done something valuable, when you have done something meaningful. For example, if you have been, if you, every time I come in, if I'm being very kind and respectful to the security here, I will be respected by the security. Every time I walk, I insult him, I belittle him, I don't even recognize him existing as a person. He feels very offended. Are you able to follow? So, what does self-respect means? Self-respect means not feeling offended, not wanting to get insulted or belittled. You follow? Hmm. What is the scriptural understanding of self-respect versus the understanding of an ignorant person? Hmm. What is the Shastric understanding of self-respect versus what people use generally in the world? So ignorant person means what people generally call as self-respect in the normal world versus what does Shastra talks about self-respect. When the Shastras talks about self-respect, it says, which is how we started. You do something meaningful, you deserve it, you will get it. Are you able to follow? You do something meaningful, respect comes. If I have not done anything meaningful, respect will not come. That is point number 1 of the Shastra. Point number 2 is you don't put a condition as to who should respect you. That you should not put. Again, are you able to follow? Just as you love, somebody will love you in return. Love will come back. But when you put a condition that only this specific person should love, then you will have a problem. So Shastra always says, you do something meaningful, respect will come. From which quarter it will come, we don't know. From where it will come, we don't know, but it will come. But where human beings have a trouble is what? I always look for these things from a specific person or a set of specific person. That is where Shastra comes and says, that you don't do. That's your mistake. Are you able to understand the difference now? Shastra says, don't expect it. If you are expecting it from a specific person, you may get, you may not get. So what is the right way of doing it? You do something meaningful, respect will come. Why? Because for respect to come, the other person must be a beneficiary. You may think that you are benefited, the other person may not feel. Somebody else, you may not have done something so great in your opinion, but that person will tremendously respect you. We don't know how these things works. Therefore, this is Shastra's take on everything. So the general formula of Shastra is this. You love. reciprocation will come. From whom? From whom reciprocation will come? You have to say, I don't know. From whom it will come, you don't know. But your problem is what? You want reciprocation from a specific person. Because we go by a very weird logic. Listen, what is a weird logic? Naranji, you water the jackfruit tree in your house and you will reap jackfruit from some other tree. How can you even consider, how can you even understand it? When you water a particular tree, what is your hope? What is your hope and expectation? That tree should yield the fruit. No. Shastra comes from a different angle. Shastra comes and says it is not as pratyaksha as it is. You genuinely keep pouring here, it may come from somewhere. If you are receptive, you know it is coming to you. But you are so focused on one that you are not even receiving it from others. Because you are so intent to get love from one. You are so intent on reciprocation from a person that you are completely unaware of love coming to you from other quarters. Whose fault it is? That's all. So life says, oh, nobody loves me. Shastra says you are utterly wrong. You are completely wrong. When you make that kind of a statement, you are utterly wrong. You are completely wrong. Love comes. But your problem is you put a condition. A person should love. For which Shastra says, that condition you deal with that person. Don't come to me for that. Because we work it works according to a law that is so deeply penetrative, incomprehensible. That's why I gave this example. Remember this example always. Your duty is to water a tree. Fruit can come from any tree. How can you even understand it? How can you even accept it? How can you even understand it? How can you even be ready for it? And the truth is, that's how it works. It comes. From where it comes, that's where we say, yeah, there's a divinity that shapes our ends. We say, no, from where it comes, we don't know. But by the law, it will come. Are you able to follow? So what is Shastric explanation? Shastric explanation for any of these emotions. Keep this as a standard formula, universal formula. You love those in front of you. Not necessarily reciprocation may come from those in front of you. It may come from somebody else. How do you even know it? You have to be receptive to it. If you are so intently bent on squeezing it from the person in front of you, you have become blind to the rest. That's the mistake that we make. It's not that we don't make a mistake of loving. We make a mistake of squeezing reciprocation from the one that we are in love with. It may come, it may not come. And always, not always, mostly how it works, it will always come from some unknown quarters. That's where we say, suddenly from where this person came, God only knows, we say. How can suddenly it come? Suddenly and all, nothing comes. Suddenly nothing will come. All of a sudden, nothing will come. It comes. From where it comes, it comes. You follow? This is the Shastric explanation of self-respect. Are you able to follow? Ignorant person of self-respect is, I should be honored, I should not be insulted, I should be spoken with respect. These are all the ignorant way of people misunderstanding self-respect. What is ordinary person self-respect will say? Since I am very compassionate and loving to this person in return should speak very, very kindly to me. This person in return should speak very affectionately to me. Are you able to follow? That one-on-one connection you should not make. This is very important. This is a very important lesson in dealing with emotions. Example, you water one tree Not necessarily fruit will come to you from that tree. It may come from, it will come from some other tree, isn't it? That's why it's called, that's why Shastric subject matter is very penetrative. If Shastri, it is so penetrative that it cannot be understood with common sense, it cannot be understood. Common sense means you pour water here, it should come here. Where is it? It's very clear. But you pour water here and jackfruit comes from Kerala, now what will Narayanji do? Isn't it? He's watering jackfruit. He's counting the jackfruits also, isn't it? Suddenly nothing is there, it's all gone, and suddenly a truck of jackfruit comes from some other place. How do you even account for it? This is how life works. Therefore, all that you need to do is what Shastra says. Whosoever in front of you, be charitable, be love, be kind. Whosoever is in front of you, be charitable, be loving, be kind. But impossible to be loving, charitable, kind in front of those who are in front of us, isn't it? That's where we make a mistake. Are you able to follow? Next one, Shanu.
No, the previous question always like,
Which one?
why do you equate self-respect with ego?
Why do we equate self-respect with ego? In the worldly sense, it is egoistic to expect something from a specific person. That's egoistic. It is egoistic. Egoistic because I want this person. I love you. Therefore, in return, you should. I love you. No, what's your problem? You should love me in return. For which the other person turns and says, if you love me, it's your problem. Why should I love you in return? I will love somebody else. What is your problem? That we cannot accept. That's where hurt comes. Ego means the entity that hurts in you is ego. What is ego? The entity that feels the pain, the entity that feels hurt is the ego. That's ego. What is ego? The entity that the entity knew that is constantly in pain, in misery, in anguish. That is ego. Laughter is not it. Laughter means it's freedom from ego. Laughter means freedom from ego. So ego means the pain, the misery, all that is called ego. So you feel what? You feel so insulted. Why this person? Why is this person not respecting me? For which Shastra will turn back and ask, why should that person respect you? That's where we get very irritated with the Shastra, because you have already concluded that this person should, and why. For which Shastra will ask, on what condition you are saying this person should? From where are you putting that condition, that should? Isn't it? Other foolishness. Why? That condition is foolishness. And that condition gives the pain. That's ego. So ego means entity that feels the misery and pain. Hmm? Hmm. When elders advise, have some self-respect, what are they trying to convey? Is their message aligned with what the Shastra intends to convey? When elders say have some self-respect, what do they mean by self-respect is, don't be a beggar. It's correct. See, opposite of self-respect is beggary. Have some self-respect means don't be a beggar. Because it is very, beggary is demeaning, no. Beggary is insulting, isn't it? Correct? Would even the beggar's children will not want his children to be a beggar, no, will not want their children to be a beggar, no. So they say have some self-respect. Have some self-respect means what? Don't be a beggar. Don't be a beggar. Otherwise you end up in begging. How not to be a beggar? How not to be a beggar? What is beggarliness? What is being a beggar means? What is beggary? Hmm? What is beggary that we want to avoid? What is beggary that I want my child not to do? What is beggary? Begging, asking. We are only repeating the word. We are not explaining what is beggary. I'm asking the question, what is beggary? That we don't want our children to do. What is beggary? Beggary means wanting something without working for it. That is beggary. I just stand on the roadside and say, give, 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 give. What is beggary? You understand? It's very insulting. It's very demeaning to do that. What is beggary? I stand on the road and ask, give, 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 give. Rather, it's better to be a labor in the market here and earn 100 rupees. Rather than standing on the roadside and say, give, 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 it is better to be a labor in the market and earn 100 rupees. No. Yeah, the laborers here, they 2 o'clock in the morning, they start carrying, oh God, 2 o'clock they start till 9 o'clock, they were just loads and loads and loads. Is that better or just standing on the road and say, give, 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 give? Are you able to follow? What is beggary? Beggary means wanting and not working. So self-respect means work. Are you able to follow? What does self-respect means now? Work. Are you able to follow? That is why every elder will want the children to work and no children will want to work. The converse is also true, isn't it? When they grow into an adult, they will do the same thing to their children. Yeah, that the parampara will continue. Parampara will that parampara will endless parampara continue. So what is beggary? Not working. So self-respect means what? Self-respect means what? In the way that the elders talk about, which also Shastra says, when you sit and eat a meal, you should have the satisfaction that you have earned it. You have worked for it. You have earned it. That satisfaction is self-respect. When I buy a piece of clothing, I should have that satisfaction. Okay, others are giving it to me, all that is different. But there is father giving, mother giving, uncle giving, aunt giving, everybody is giving, all that is different. The joy is what? The beggar can never experience this joy. What is the joy that beggar can never experience? Each and every meal that you eat, if you know that you have earned it, the joy. You follow? Opposite of that is a misery, a pain. So what the elders say as self-respect is, don't beg. What is beggary means? Wanting something without working for it. Yeah. That's why insulting words they use, no, isn't it? What is the insulting word they use? Tamil, I don't know. Hindi lala enna solluvaangalo, I don't know. Dandachoru, they will say, isn't it? Yeah. Dandachoru means, yeah, osi sapadu, isn't it? Yeah. It's so demeaning it is. Why? Because want them to be, the elder's intention is not to hurt. No other language you are able to understand other than hurt. Very difficult is to learn through the language of love and change. The tamoguna is such that we wake up only through insult. Therefore, Shastra has to insult. Not that the Shastra wants to insult. The tamoguna is so much that unless insult is done, the person doesn't wake up. You understand the difference? Why insult is given? Because tamoguna is such that as it is tamoguna so much, on top of it you say, no, it's okay, love, it's okay. You speak the language of love and compassion. The tamoguna is going to further increase only. Are you able to follow? They insult. Why? The tamoguna is such that only that will make a person wake up. One. To the loved ones, insult, you love somebody and to insult the loved one is extremely painful if you have loved somebody. If you have loved somebody, to insult your loved one is very difficult. It will pain you more than the pain that it causes to the other. If you have loved, you know that. But we are caught up in self-love so much that where have we loved somebody like that? For us even to feel that, for us to feel the pain. You follow? And yet you do it. Why? Because tamoguna is such that unless you insult, it's not going to wake up. Are you able to follow? Next one. Is it necessary to have self-respect? Yes, it is necessary to have self-respect. In the way that I explained the last answer. It is necessary to have self-respect. Means I will not be a beggar. Each and every meal I earn and eat. In that sense, self-respect is necessary. Should one expect others to respect them? That you should not do. Should one expect others to respect? It's like asking, should one expect others to love? You can love. How can you expect the other to love? You follow what I'm saying? So similarly, you should have self-respect, correct. But should you expect others to respect? That is wrong. That is wrong. Why it is wrong? Because you cannot put a condition to another and say respect. You cannot squeeze the other. You cannot torture the other. You cannot put a gun and say respect me. It will be a pretense. It will be pretending. There will not be, indifference is better than somebody pretending to love you. No. Somebody is careless, that is okay. Or somebody pretending to love you, which you will feel very insulted and irritated. Pretending, no? Isn't it? Pretending is more irritating than somebody saying, I don't care. Even when they say, I don't care, it's okay. The hurt is not that much. But pretension, pretension is more painful. Are you able to follow? அவ்வளவுதானா? அங்கம் கலிதம் பலிதம் முண்டம் தசன விஹீனம் ஜாதம் துண்டம் விருத்தோ யாதி கிரஹீத்வா தண்டம் ததபின முஞ்சதி ஆஷா பிண்டம். This is where we are started. This is where we are studying. The sequence, if you see, 13 spoke about satsang, good benefits of good association. 14, dussang. What happens? 15, 16, 17 is talking about 3 wrong practices by which people try to overcome desires. The 3 wrong practices, 15, 16, and 17 is talking about the 3 wrong practices. 15 is about indulgence, 16 about abstinence, 17 is about mechanical practices. So by indulgences, you are not going to get rid of your desires. By running away, you are not going to get rid of your desires. Or by mechanically doing a few things, you are not going to get rid of your desires. Then what you should do, that he is going to continue later. From 17, he will continue. But right now we are studying how indulgences doesn't help you to get rid of your desires. That's what he says. The old man here is an indication of an indulgent person. Old man need not necessarily be the physically aged person. Anybody who's indulging becomes old very soon. Indulgence makes you old very soon because senses die very fast. Senses loses the capacity to enjoy. That's why nature has decided that everything will come to you only for 2 months, so that next 10 months you won't have it, the joy comes back. Now you make sure that you have it 365 days on the 365 days on the table. Boredom sets in. You have become old. Isn't it? Mangoes, if it comes 2 months in a year, it's joyful, that mango. Throughout the year, 365 days, you have mango on the table. What happens? Yeah. Very painful it is. So indulgences makes you old very soon. Don't take it literally as an old person. It literally also it is true. Old. What is it? What is the problem of indulgence? The problem of indulgence is mind is wanting, body is not cooperating. That is the problem. Asha Pindam, he says. Mind is craving, body doesn't cooperate. You know how torturous it is? It's torturous it is. Because the only thing that you have is to mentally indulge now. So what is left to you now? You can only hallucinate, cerebral, isn't it? Everything becomes cerebral enjoyment because the senses, the body has lost. And how did the body lose it? Indulgent life, you get old. That's all. You get old. Okay. Through indulgence, you have not learned anything, but what continues? What continues? The hope continues. Asha Pindam. Tadapina Munchati Asha Pindam. So, what is the message? Number one, indulgences, you get old very fast. Indulgences means indulgence means you get some joy, you start squeezing it for more and more joy. Very soon it gets tired. Now, body gets tired, others get tired, but the mind demand has increased. The mind's demand has increased. Now, what the mind can sit and do now? The mind has nothing. Mind has nothing to do. What it will do? It will simply sit and hallucinate. It will simply sit and dream. What is the dream? The illusion of getting what you do not have. What is hope? This is what we said last week. What is hope? The illusion of getting what you do not have. The dream of what is not now, sometime it will come. A dream. It is not now. Sometime it will come. You have to wake up from this, he says. You have to wake up from this hope. You have to wake up from this hope. And also we saw last week. I'm just summarizing what we studied. Greater the misery, greater the hope. Isn't it? Greater the misery, greater the hope. Look at that irony. It's so unique a thing, but which we need to understand it rightly. Understanding it rightly saves your takes care of your mental health. And when your mental health is taken care of, you can be of some help to others also around you, isn't it? First, you should have a good mental health. Second is, when you have a good mental health, you can be of some help to others around you. So what is it? Logically, anguish must kill hope, isn't it? Misery must kill hope, logically speaking. But ironically, life has its own logic. Life doesn't go by your man-made logic. Life has its own logic. What is the logic of life? The greater the anguish, greater the hope. In fact, pain and misery kindles hope. Happiness destroys hope. Happiness eliminates hope. That's why a happy person can become a religious person. Shantanam Vitaraginam. A happy, peaceful person alone can be a religious person. A unhappy, miserable person cannot become religious in the true sense. And we all believe in order to become religious, you have to be in pain and misery. When you are in pain and misery, hope is only kindled. Happiness means contentment in the present. Hope means only if I get it, I can be happy. What is the difference between hope and happiness? Hope is in relation to what you don't have. Happiness is in relation to what you have. Again, happiness is in relation to what you have. Hope is in relation to what you don't have. Always your happiness is dependent upon what? Always your happiness is dependent upon what? What you don't have. What you don't. Therefore, you dig your own grave for misery. You go on being miserable because, like, Swamiji keeps on saying, no, if I get that, I'll be happy. If I get that, I'll be happy. If I get that, I'll be happy. That is why that if I get that, I'll be happy is the hope, and that person can never become truly spiritual. Hope creates misery, misery creates further hope. Both go hand in hand. One feeds the other. Misery and hope feeds each other. Happiness, contentment comes and breaks the chain. Happiness and contentment comes and breaks the chain. That happiness, that contentment is a prerequisite for proper thinking. What is the proper thinking? Having gotten it, having experienced it, has it changed anything in you? Nothing has changed in you. What has changed except the temporary few seconds or few minutes of, except that few seconds or few minutes of happiness, nothing changes. Hope means tomorrow I'll be happy. I cannot be happy today. Hope means I cannot be happy today. You tell somebody, sir, you be in my position, then you talk, they will say, isn't it? You be in my position, then you talk. You be in my position, then you talk. You go to everybody's position, nobody is happy, isn't it? Nobody is happy. You go to anybody's position, nobody is happy. You see the beggar on the roadside, he is not happy. This person here is not. Nobody seems to be. Not nobody seems to be. Nobody is. Understand one thing. Happiness comes from what you have now. Happiness comes from what you have now, and this happiness alone can make you free. Take it or leave it. This is the law. Again, happiness comes from what you have now, and a happy person alone can be a free person, free from the persecutions of the mind, free from the affectations of the mind, and turn truly religious. What is hopelessness? You continue to be in hope. Hopelessness. What is hopelessness? Hopelessness is nothing but, carefully follow, these are all things that you need to know very clearly about life. Hopelessness is nothing but the defeated part of the hope. You continue to have hope, and when your hopes are, the defeated aspect of hope is hopelessness. The tired, exhausted hope is hopelessness. It is not destroyed hope. It is tired, fatigued hope. We should not have hope means we should become hopeless, sir. Isn't it? We become hopeless. No, be happy. You're not saying, we're saying be happy, because the opposite of hope is linguistically we'll say hopeless. That's very, very shallow thinking. That's like that. In fact, it's not thinking. Mind is swinging in opposites, that is. Pendulum. Yeah, mind swinging in opposites should not be seen as thinking. It is not thinking at all. So what is it? Asha Pindam. That Asha is the door for irreligiousness. It is the hope that makes you irreligious. What is irreligiousness? Ingratitude, ungrateful. Ungrateful is the hope, is the ungrateful is irreligiousness. Why ungrateful? Because in this situation, how can I be grateful? Unless I get something different, big, then only I can be grateful. If you are in my position, you will be worse than. People ask me, if you are in my shoes, what will you do, sir? If you are in my shoes, what will you do? I'll do exactly what you did, I'll say. Yeah, because if I am in your shoes, then I have to be you only. If I am you, what will I do? I'll do exactly the same thing. No, if you are, I said, if I am, I will never be in your. Yeah, if I am, why will I be in your shoes then? Are you able to understand the difference? Hopelessness is nothing but hope feeling defeated. Defeated hope is hopelessness. Happiness is of a different thing. Tadapina munjati asha pindam. Tadapina munchati asha pindam. Even at that, when senses are gone, no capacity to enjoy anything, isn't it? Even then, the mind is craving for. Even then, the mind is craving for. Even then, the mind is craving for the joy. So, only thing it can do is what? It can dream. Only thing it can do is what? It can dream of enjoying. You understand that, no? You can imagine you are having a, I don't know, Elasapada. I don't know. You are in the prison, isn't it? You are in the prison and they are giving some food. You don't want that food. Now nothing else is there. Suddenly the mind goes, what? It vicariously, it remembers what? Oh my God, 10 years back, 5 years back, it starts enjoying mentally. Is it enjoyment? Is it enjoyment? It is not enjoyment. It is asking for more suffering. Why? Because life of indulgent will make you sick, and indulgent life makes you sick very fast. An indulgent life makes you sick very fast. And indulgent life creates boredom very fast. So this old man, instead of becoming wise, he should have become wise by then, no, isn't it? He has experienced everything. At least, the young person, a teenage person has not experienced anything. But this old person has experienced. In spite of experiencing everything, there is a problem. What is the problem? They still continue. It means what? Wasted life. It means, yes, a futile life. A life, it's a wasted life it is. Look at the description he gives, isn't it? Such a poetic, beautiful description he's giving. What is that poetic, beautiful description that he's giving? So artistic it is, isn't it? You can mentally visualize that old person, no? This old person, no? Hair turned white, mouth rendered toothless. See, mouth rendered toothless, what can he do? He can only have Cerelac and Farex, isn't it? He can't have seed. Krishna Jayanti will come. Seedai Muruku cannot be had, isn't it? Something, yeah, something else, nothing can be had because nothing is there, but still, isn't it? At least I'll keep one in my mouth, no? Mhm. Gosh. When you are young, if you have practiced this discipline, old age is avoided completely. That's all he's saying. When you are young, if you practice this discipline, old age will be avoided. What is old age being avoided means? The suffering and pain, that mental lingering will not happen. The disconnect between mind craving, body not cooperating, isn't it? The dissipated body, the tired body. Body is tired, but the mind is torturing that body. That's that. Why it happens so? Because of, look at the beautiful thing, isn't it? A young person growing old. Body becomes old. Gray hairs appear. The teeth start falling off one by one. That's why, sir, we should go and have implants done. Isn't it? Teeth will fall one by one. As and when teeth keep falling, go and get implants done. At last, the spine has lost its strength that it starts bending. It starts bending, isn't it? At 20 lay, people are like this now, what to do, isn't it? Backbone has lost its strength. It starts bending, bending, bending because it is bent so much that it needs a stick. Help of the stick to keep himself erect. So what is he doing now? Leaning on the stick. Leaning on the stick. The legs have lost the strength. The backbone has lost. The body has lost. Teeth is gone. Everything is gone. Mind is very lustful still. Tadapina munchati asha. Totakacharya beautifully says this. Sorry, Hastamalaka, not Totaka. Hastamalaka says this beautifully. even then he doesn't leave the desires. All desire is self-love. Desire means self-love. You love yourself. That's called desire. Desire means self-love. How can you say that? How do you say that? Brihadaranyaka says it very clearly. Yajnavalkya teaches this to Maitreyi. Yajnavalkya teaches this to Maitreyi very, very clearly. What did he teach? Part 2, Section 4, Mantra 5, Brihadaranyaka. Very famous mantra, Brihadaranyaka. Write it as 245. That's all. Yeah, 2-4-5, Brihadaranyaka. Beautiful mantra. Sahovacha. Sahovacha means Saha Uvacha. He said. Like Bhagavan Uvacha, no? Like Bhagavan Uvacha, Saha Uvacha. Saha here we know Yajnavalkya says. Yajnavalkya says. Atmanastu kamaya priyam bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya priyam bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya priyam bhavati. And he goes on giving the list. Are. Are means, yeah, he calls her. Are is a very dear term. You know, it's like saying dearest, isn't it? It's a very dearful term. And throughout the conversation, Yajnavalkya uses this word to Maitreyi. Beautiful. Are. அரேன்னா தமிழ் எப்படி சொல்றது? I don't know how to say that in the everyday language. He goes on saying, Atmanastu kamaya priyam bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya priyam bhavati. What is this Atmanastu kamaya priyam bhavati? He said, it is not for the sake of the husband, my dear, that he is loved, but for one's own sake that he is loved. You think you love your husband? You are in self-love. You love yourself, that's all. Desire means self-love. It is not for the sake of the wife, my dear, that she is loved, but for one's own sake that she is loved. Children, sir, it is not for the sake of the sons, my dear, that they are loved, for one's own sake they are loved. It is not for the sake of wealth, my dear, that it is loved, but for one's own sake that it is loved. Oh God, he goes on and on and on giving that list. Therefore, O Maitreyi, that's where it's a very famous mantra because two important message comes in that. Atmanastu kamaya priyam bhavati shravana manana nididhyasana. This has to be heard. This has to be reflected. This has to be lived. O Maitreyi, through shravana, manana, nididhyasana, it is known. So, what is he saying now? What does desire means? Desire is nothing but self-love. You love yourself through them. You love yourself through them. Tadapina munchati asha pindam. Yeah. What is that tadapina munchati asha pindam? What is that sugar that people have? Diabetic people should not have sugar. No. They have one special sugar we discovered. That. What is that sugar? Something they have, no? What is it called?
Desire.
Huh? Desire. Something, no?
Desire.
Yeah, sugar-free, isn't it? Sweet, sugar-free, sir. That is called Asha Pindam. It has gone. Why can't you just leave it? It can't be left, isn't it? It can't be left, isn't it? I remember, in those days, in every house it used to happen. Nowadays it doesn't happen. In those days it used to happen. I remember every house will have 2, 3 extra people, no, in their house. Some uncle, some distant aunt, unconnected, because they have lost everybody. So either they have to be in the streets begging and die, or somebody has to take care, and every house will take care of two, three people. Yeah. And my father is very charitable. He will take lot of people, and all our blood pressure only will rise, isn't it? Yeah, all our blood pressure will rise. That always 2, 3 people will be in our house. God, from where they come, God only knows. They keep, and it is such a beautiful culture, isn't it? See, no need for old age homes, no need for anything. No, why keep? What is that one big? So I still remember that aunt. Sir, 6 months she lived with us. That's all. She passed away. What thing? 6 months she lived. Somewhere my father went, saw her, and understood who she was and brought her. So when she came home, she was literally like lost. That unkempt, lice in the hair, somewhere on the road, sleeping somewhere else. Poor lady, old lady. He said, no, 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 you can't be like this. Come. Came home, everything. Few weeks later, Tadapina Munchati Asha Pindam. I remember all this. Yeah. Teeth and all is gone. Everything is gone. She will tell me that muruku, soak it in buttermilk. It will get soft. I can eat. Life has not taught. You can sympathize with her. At a superficial level, you can sympathize with her and give. But you should learn one lesson. What? Tadapina munchati. You sympathize with her. Don't give her a discourse on Tadapina munchati asha pindam. Don't give her that discourse. You give. In your head, what you should understand. Life has not taught. They have not learned anything from life. Have not learned anything from life, isn't it? Pickle without salt. How is it possible, isn't it? Sugar without sweet. Sir, it is made with that sweets. The sweets are sold in the shop also, isn't it? Sugar free, no, not sugar free, diabetic free. The best freedom from diabetes is what? Simply have the mental courage to say no, isn't it? Just have the mental courage to say no. That's all. You cannot. Karmendriyani samyamya, he says, ya aste manasasmaran indriyartan vimudatma nityacharassa uchyate. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasasmaran. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3. Indriyartan vimudatma. This person, Krishna calls it as vimudatma, isn't it? You speak like a wise person, Arjuna, but you are really fool, he said, isn't it? You are a real fool, but speak like one wise person. At least he waited for 55 verses to say that, isn't it? Bhaja Govindam, he straight away started, isn't it? Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Oh fool. Yeah, straight away he started, oh fool. What will you call that person? Yeah. Put muruku in buttermilk, sweet without sugar, isn't it? What is it? Zero diet coke. What will you call that person? Isn't it? Why can't you just say no? Because you have had so much. You have had so much. No tripti at all. No satisfaction at all. That's that asha. It's disgusting. It's that asha, no contentment, no happiness, no satisfaction, just wanting more and more and more, into want more and more and more, squeeze and torture. Where do you get it from? You can't squeeze yourself, no. So what do? You squeeze the other. Whenever you squeeze the other, remember, whenever you say, I love the other, remember you have started to squeeze the other. Because Yagnyavalkya has taught us very clearly, Atmanastu Kamaya Priyam Bhavati. It is not for the sake of the husband that he is loved. For one's own sake that he is loved. Isn't it? You love the husband as long as the husband is a source of happiness. To whom? You love the husband as long the husband is a source of happiness. To whom? To you. The moment it stops to become the source of happiness, what happens? What happens? So when you are loving the husband, are you really loving the husband? No, you are in love with yourself. The same rule applies for husband, wife, children, wealth, gods. He says, even God also, he says, in that list, you should that entire list, even gods also he will bring into that list. Even gods are not loved for the sake of God, but for your own. Why? Because you have a hope that God is going to answer your prayer. You pray to God, you love God, you do everything to God. And God gives you a loss. What happens to the love? What happens to the love? Love is gone, isn't it? It is not for the sake of God's, my dear, they are loved, but for one's own sake they are loved. It is not for the sake of, I love everybody, sir. No, it is not for the sake of all, my dear, that all is loved, but for one's own sake that it is loved. He concludes like that. Beautiful conclusion. It is not for the sake of all, my dear, that all is loved, but for one's own sake that it is all loved. Hear this. Reflect on this. Understand this. The old person doesn't do this. He's just caught up in that. He's just caught up in indulgences, has no time for else. So, one conclusion, what? Indulgences is not going to make you happy. Indulgences is not going to help you get rid of the desires. That much is established. 16 padinga. Agre vahnihi prishte bhanuhu ratrau chubukha samarpita januhu karatala bhikshas tarutala vasaha tadapina munchati asha pashaha. Verse number 16. Agre vahnihi prishte bhanuhu ratrau chubukha samarpita januhu karatala bhikshas tarutala vasaha tadapina munchati asha pashaha. Fire in front, the sun behind, knees tucked to chin at night, receiving alms in palms, living under trees, yet the band of desires leaves not. Fire in front, the sun behind, knees tucked to chin at night, receiving alms in palms, living under trees, yet the band of desires leave not. So here, this verse is talking about whom now? This verse is talking about the one who who trying to pretend and live life like a sannyasi when they are not mentally matured into sannyas. This verse is this verse is supposed to be attributed to Subodh. Subodh is another disciple of Shankaracharya. So this verse is attributed to him. Agre vaknihi prishte banuhu ratro subhagajamarpita januhu. Agre vaknihi, in front fire. Prishte banuhu, sun. Meaning, prishte banuhu, sun means what? He has no covering. He has no house. In the night, it's so cold, he curls himself and sleeps in the night. And how does he live? On palms. From outside, you can never find a detached, matured person like him. And yet, tadapina munchati asha pashaha. The asha didn't live, like just as the asha didn't live for the previous person, asha didn't live here also. Now, what does this mean now? It is easy to change your clothing. From a materialistic clothing, it is easy to shift to spiritual clothing. Changing the clothing, you are not going to change. That's all he's saying. It's very easy to change the to change the clothing is very easy. All that I need to do is what? Take out this cloth and put on an ochre color. What is the easy? It is so easy because it is so easy to change the external. And by changing the external, your internal is not going to change. Again, by changing the external, your internal is not going to change. Now, what did he change here? What did this person do here? Abstinence. If the previous one was an indulgent, this person is into abstinence. In fact, what you have to understand is it's not two different persons. The same person go through these extremes. Your indulgence will take you to abstinence. Your abstinence will take you to indulgence. Fasting is a preparation for feasting. Feasting is a preparation for overeating is a preparation for fasting, isn't it? Fasting itself is a preparation for overeating. So you keep oscillating between the two. Tadapina munjati asha pindam. By changing the external, your internal is not going to change. Udara nimittam bahukrita veshaha, he said already. All this is for the sake of the belly. And human being believes by changing the external, the internal is changed. What is changing the external? I am no more interested in all these worldly things. I have become they start putting up an vesha of a spiritual, person, while the mind is still attracted to sensual indulgences. The mind is still attracted to the sensual indulgences, but the external thing is one of an ascetic, unintelligent withdrawal. One is unintelligent contact. This is unintelligent withdrawal. So unintelligent contact is also useless. Unintelligent withdrawal is also useless. Indulgence means unintelligent contact. Abstinence means unintelligent withdrawal. It means contact or withdrawal is not the problem. What is the problem? What is the problem? Unintelligent is the problem. So it is not the contact, the problem, nor indulgence a problem. Unintelligent contact, unintelligent withdrawal, abstinence. So in both the cases, what is it? It's knowledge. It is knowledge that transforms. And more complicated is this word knowledge transforms, because the knowledge of the scriptures is very easier than fasting and charity. All that you have to do is what? Hear the words. That's all. So far more dangerous is this knowledge. At least fasting and charity, you are doing something. Here, you can memorize the Gita. There's no difficulty in reading the scriptures. There's no difficulty in filling the mind with the scriptures. And yet, transformation doesn't happen. You follow? So he says, unintelligent withdrawal, unintelligent contact. Therefore, be intelligent means gain knowledge. And this word gain knowledge is more misunderstood than anything else. Because gain knowledge doesn't mean gather words. Gain knowledge doesn't mean gather words. Knowledge does not mean the words of the Shastras. Knowledge does not mean the words. Then what is knowledge? What is knowledge then? By which an inner transformation happens. If inner transformation has not happened, there is no growth. So, knowledge means inner. Knowledge doesn't mean the words of the scriptures. Knowledge means inner. Knowledge itself can make you become more sinful. In fact, that is the biggest problem of knowledge. The biggest problem of knowledge is the knowledge itself can make you become more. That's why in the olden days, the adhikaritvam is firmly decided before knowledge is given. That methodology is gone forever. It's a very sad thing. That methodology is gone forever. Today, each and everybody gets without any adhikaritvam, especially the spiritual knowledge, where all other branches of knowledge, adhikaritvam is clearly established. When it comes to the highest and subtlest, to study engineering, adhikaritvam is clearly established. To study medicine, the adhikaritvam is clearly established. While all other branches of knowledge, the adhikaritvam is clearly established. When it comes to the subtlest knowledge, the highest knowledge, the adhikaritvam is completely ignored. Therefore, what happens? There will be an external act of being a spiritual person, but tadapina munchati asha pindam. From outside, everybody will look at and say, oh my God, what a spiritual person. Inside, that person is still caught up in the desires. What is still caught up in desires? Remember Ramakrishna's example. The vulture flies high, he says. The vulture flies so high in the sky, and the way it looks in the sky, No, it's gliding and flying and everything. But where are the eyes? Where is its eyes? He says its eyes is in the rotten flesh. It just comes down in a flash, pick it up and go back. When it is flying there, you think it is so highly evolved. The highest expression of sannyasa is that verse, meaning abstinence, the highest physical expression of sannyasa. That also doesn't help, he says. That also doesn't help. With this, we conclude for today. Clarifications and all we'll take up next week.